Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never expected a single sentence, spoken in frustration, to detonate my entire life. Looking back, I can't even remember why I said it, why I swung the knife so casually, as if words couldn't cut. But the moment it left my mouth, I saw the shift in his eyes. Not anger, not shock, just silence, like something inside him had gone still. His name was Ethan Miller, and for 2 years he had been the one person who showed up every single time life tried to take me apart. I met him after my last breakup, when I was raw, insecure, and desperate for something, or someone to make me feel chosen. He wasn't the loudest man in the room, or the most charming, but he had a steadiness about him that pulled me in. The kind of man who listened, the kind who remembered the little things, the kind who watched you, not with hunger, but with quiet understanding. But I never stopped comparing him to my ex. I never stopped telling myself Ethan wasn't the person I had planned to end up with. And maybe that's why, on that night, the worst version of me came out. It happened in the middle of a stupid argument. Something about him not responding quickly enough to a text. I was exhausted from work, irritated with everything and nothing, and instead of admitting I was overwhelmed, I lashed out. He stood there in my living room, hands in his pockets, letting me vent, letting me unravel. And somewhere between my complaining and my panic, I said it. You know what, Ethan? Maybe you're just my second choice. Maybe that's why none of this feels right. His face didn't fall. It didn't twist. It didn't break. He just blinked once, slowly, as if he was giving my words time to settle inside him. I waited for him to argue, to defend himself, to fight for us, but he didn't. Instead, he gave a small nod, one that terrified me more than shouting ever would. "Thank you," he said softly. "That's what I needed to know." And then he left, just like that. No slam of the door, no dramatic pause, no attempt to stay and work it out. He walked out with the same calmness he had brought into my life, and suddenly the room felt hollow, like he had taken all the warmth with him. I told myself he just needed space. I convinced myself he'd call. He always called. He always fixed things. But hours passed, then days, then a week, and for the first time since I'd known him, he didn't reach out. The silence between us grew heavier, like a punishment I had written for myself. It was then I started noticing the emptiness, the mornings without his good morning texts, the evenings without him reminding me to eat, the late-night calls that had once soothed me now replaced with a quiet, so sharp it felt personal. I tried to distract myself, diving into work, meeting friends, pretending I didn't care. But pretending wasn't something I was good at, not when my mind kept drifting back to the steadiness I had taken for granted. The way he looked at me like he could see the parts one hid from everyone else. The way he never tried to change me, only understood me. My friends joked about the situation at first, saying if he really cared, he'd come back. But the more I replayed that night, the more I realized it wasn't his responsibility to heal the wound I created. It wasn't his job to return to someone who had just told him he wasn't enough. 2 weeks passed before I finally saw him again. It happened by accident, at a small cafe near my apartment. I had gone there to clear my head, only to freeze when I saw him sitting at a corner table. He wasn't alone. A woman sat across from him, smiling in a soft, familiar way. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear as she talked, and he listened, really listened, the same way he once listened to me. My stomach twisted. He looked different, lighter, freer, like the weight of being second choice had been lifted from his shoulders the moment he walked away from me. And the worst part? He looked happy, genuinely happy. I stood there, hidden behind a column, watching him laugh. A real laugh, one I hadn't heard in months. The sound hit me like a punch. For the first time, it hit me with brutal clarity. I hadn't lost a man who was second best. I had lost a man who had made me feel chosen, even when I didn't know how to choose myself. And I had pushed him away with the very words I now wished I could take back. I didn't approach him that day in the cafe. I couldn't. Something in me froze, as if the universe was forcing me to stand still and watch the consequences of my own thoughtlessness unfold. I slipped out quietly before he could see me, but his laughter clung to me all the way home, echoing through the hollow places inside me. That night, regret didn't just sit in my chest. It spread through me like a fever. Every moment I had dismissed him, every time I made him feel he wasn't enough, came flooding back with sharpness I couldn't ignore. I realized then that I had spent so much time chasing the idea of the perfect choice that I had overlooked the person who had quietly chosen me every single day. But regret without action is just self-punishment, and I had punished myself long enough. The next morning, after barely sleeping, I made a decision. I would talk to him, not to fix things, not with expectations, but because he deserved to hear what I should have said months ago. I found his number still saved on the same nickname he once teased me about. My thumb hovered over the call button, but fear clawed at my throat. What if he didn't pick up? What if he did pick up and didn't care? What if I was too late? Before I could talk myself out of it, I pressed call. 3 rings. 4. 5. Just as I was ready to hang up, he answered. Hello. His voice was calm. Not cold. Not warm. Just steady, the way it had always been. Ethan. Hey, it's me. I said, my voice tight. A brief pause. Hey, everything okay? I swallowed. Actually, I wanted to talk. In person, if that's all right. Another pause. Long enough to make my pulse stutter. Okay, he said finally. Meet me at Lincoln Park? By the pond. Relief hit me like air after drowning. When I arrived, he was already there, hands in the pockets of his jacket, shoulders relaxed. He looked up as I approached, and for a second, the familiarity of his presence nearly broke me. He didn't smile, but he didn't turn away either. Thanks for meeting me, I said. He nodded. What's on your mind? Straight to the point. The Ethan I had always known. I took a breath. I'm sorry. His expression didn't shift, but his jaw tightened slightly. I know sorry doesn't fix anything. I continued. But you deserve to hear it. I was cruel. I said something I didn't mean. And I know you walked away because you finally realized you didn't have to keep proving anything to me. You shouldn't have had to. He looked out over the water, eyes reflecting a calm I wished I had. I didn't walk away to punish you, he said. I walked away because for the first time I believed you. The words sliced through me. I never wanted you to feel like a backup. I whispered. But you did, he replied simply. And that was enough. A lump formed in my throat. I saw you yesterday at the cafe. His head turned, surprise flickering briefly. You did. I nodded. You looked happy. You looked free. He exhaled slowly. She's a co-worker. We were catching up. The relief that washed over me was embarrassing in its intensity. But before I could speak, he continued. Look, I'm not trying to replace what we had. But I'm also not going back to a place where I'm constantly trying to convince someone I'm worth choosing. Tears threatened to rise, but I blinked them away. I understand. Truly. Silence stretched between us, not hostile, just honest. I cared about you, he said softly. A lot. Maybe even more than I should have. But I can't pretend that what you said didn't change something for me. I know, I murmured. I'm not asking for anything. I just needed you to know that I recognized what I did, and that you didn't deserve it. He studied me carefully, as if trying to decide whether he should open an old door or leave it closed forever. Can I ask you something? He said. Of course. When you called me your second choice, were you trying to hurt me, or did you actually believe it? My breath caught. It felt like standing at the edge of a cliff. I believed it back then, I admitted, because I didn't know how to value stability. I kept chasing the kind of chaos I thought love was supposed to be. I didn't realize how rare someone like you was until I lost you. He looked down, his expression unreadable. People say things they regret, he said after a moment. But sometimes regret comes too late. My chest tightened. Is this too late? He hesitated. And in that moment, the world held its breath. Then he said, I don't know. I just know I'm not the same person who waited for you to choose me. The truth of it settled heavily between us. But, he added quietly, I don't hate you, and I don't wish you away from my life. Maybe We can start with honesty, nothing more. Relief loosened something inside me, not because I won him back, but because he was giving something far more valuable. A second chance at dignity, at maturity, at understanding what real connection requires. I nodded. Honesty, I repeated. He gave a small, tentative smile. The first I'd seen since the night everything fell apart. And in that moment, I realized this was a reunion or a rekindling. It was a reckoning, a chance to grow into someone who no longer mistook kindness for weakness or stability for being second best. Ethan began walking beside me along the path, and I matched his pace, not ahead, not behind. For the first time, I didn't feel like I was choosing him or losing him. I simply felt present. And maybe that was how regret finally transforms, not by fixing the past, but by teaching you how not to break the future.